Facepalm America. I'm Beowulf Racklin. FacepalmAmerica.com is where you can go for more information about the show, to listen to past episodes, and to connect with us on social media. You can also call or message us anytime at 202-656-6271. Boy, from the beginning of this year, Kevin McCarthy goes from Speaker of the House of Representatives, admittedly a grudgingly elected Speaker. It took him a while to get there. It sure took him a while to get there. How many votes were there? 15, 16, 17, something like that. And then the downfall came just a matter of months later. And now he's not even gonna finish out his term in Congress. My goodness. He's leaving. Hey, he's got to cash in. He's spent enough time in halls of Congress. You know, what else can you do? What else are you likely to obtain on your resume that's going to be better than Speaker of the House of Representatives? Imagine the kind of lobbying bucks you can rake in with that on your resume. Imagine the calls he can make on behalf of K Street with that Rolodex. Hey, I hear you. And now that George Santos is no longer there to secure his place, it's an interesting time. I kind of don't think the Republicans are going to hold on to the House of Representatives. I wouldn't be surprised if George Santos's seat switched to the Democratic side. Wouldn't be surprised if Lauren Boebert got flipped out of there as well. I think there are a whole bunch of names that we know whose seats are going to be filled by Democrats. Not a good time for Republicans in the House of Representatives. Now, on the Senate side, that is looking iffy. Because, not that it matters on a policy level, because Joe Manchin wasn't going to vote for too much positive progressive change anyway. But at least it gave Democrats administrative control of the U.S. Senate, which is not an insignificant thing. And now that Joe Manchin is also cashing in his chips, he's cashed in a bunch already. That seat will almost certainly go to a Republican. And it was very close anyway. So the way I see it is the Republicans lose the House, the Democrats lose the Senate. Do-si-do. And where the presidency stops, nobody knows. It's going to be a very interesting 12 months. But, the reason that I wanted to talk with you right now was not really because of the shufflings on Capitol Hill. I think it's interesting. But because of what is happening in the world, not of Capitol Hill, but in the world of capital. Money. Billionaires. So I think it's time for another episode of Why There Shouldn't Be Billionaires. Yes, why there shouldn't be billionaires. So many reasons. I mean, just look at whatever recent horrible, stupid thing Elon Musk has done. That's easy. But more interesting and a little bit below the surface to me is this information that I found on CNN.com. New billionaire heirs overtake self-made ones as $5.2 trillion in wealth transfer begins. Billionaires minted in the latest year accumulated more wealth through inheritance than entrepreneurship for the first time since UBS started tracking the fortunes of the world's richest almost a decade ago. So that's interesting. You know how they always say that, these people are very rich. Well, they built their own fortunes. They pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. They created vast fortunes through the sweat of their brow. Well, the sweat of other people's brows, anyway. Well, that's literally not true when it comes to the majority of billionaires anymore. Because now, more billionaires are from inherited wealth than from entrepreneurship. And that means that they're, I would tend to think, a little bit more insulated, a little less connected to the world that you and I live in. Because billionaires who created their own wealth, and that's such a loaded term, they didn't create their own wealth, who accumulated vast amounts of money, at one point, they lived, maybe not exactly like you and I, but in a situation that somewhat approximated that. They had some connection to the real world. For example, Warren Buffett. He, and famously, still lives in the same 3-bedroom house in Omaha, Nebraska, that he bought in the 1950s. Well, his generation and those who followed his path are getting old, passing away, and passing on their wealth to the next generation. Now, that next generation, many of them never really had to deal with the real world. And so, my opinion, and you tell me if you agree with me at 202-656-6271, my opinion is those people are more dangerous because they don't know what it's like to live like you and I. And so they have less connection, less sympathy for the lives that we lead. And they have just as more power than ever before. They have massive amounts of wealth, and they don't really have to answer to anyone. And I think it's a very dangerous situation. Billionaire heirs, those who have inherited wealth, in other words, are more likely than their parents to focus on the major opportunities and challenges facing the global economy, investing in sectors such as clean energy and artificial intelligence, the Swiss lender UBS said in a report. The great wealth transfer is gaining significant momentum as many billionaire entrepreneurs age. Benjamin Cavalli, who oversees strategic clients in the Global Wealth Management Unit at UBS, told reporters. This is a theme we expect to see more of over the next 20 years as more than 1,000 billionaires pass an estimated $5.2 trillion to their children. Who would you trust more? Who would you trust more to shift the levers of power in the world? Someone who, sure, was a billionaire, but at one point was not a billionaire, was just a member of the middle class, a member of the upper middle class, maybe even a poor working stiff like you and me. Or their children who grew up the child of a billionaire. Who would you trust more? I know who I would trust more. And it's not the kids. Overall, the number of billionaires globally climbed 7% to 2,544. Their combined wealth rose 9% to $12 trillion before taking inflation into account. $150.8 billion was inherited by 53 heirs over the 12 months to April, exceeding the $140.7 billion accumulated by 84 new self-made billionaires over that period. So the balance is shifting to a group of people that knows less and less about how the other half, or the other 99.9% of the world lives. That's worrisome to me. Because, as you know, I don't think there should be billionaires at all. But when we find that those billionaires are now just mostly inheriting their wealth, I don't think that's a good sign. And it's another reason
why there shouldn't be billionaires.
That's right. They shouldn't be there. You know, there are always going to be rich people. But billionaires, people on the level who have that much more wealth, that many times more dollars than ordinary folks, that should not be. It really should not. So, I just wanted to make you aware of that, leave you with that thought. It's worrisome to me. I want to thank Ace Elson and Rosabelle Hine. They are the producers of this program. If you want to find out more, again, you can go to facepalmamerica.com and please share this episode with a friend. And until next time, enjoy the day.